I'm Gary Lyon and welcome to Access All Areas. A weekend of lost opportunities for a couple of top four contenders, but there was some brilliant football played, including yesterday at the Docklands, where the Bulldogs toppled the Bombers. Matty Lloyd, Damien Barrett, are the Dogs back in town, boys?
I wasn't convinced last week, Gary, or the week before. They've beaten Carlton, the Gold Coast and now Essendon. I think no doubt yesterday's was their best win, Damo. I just thought last week you can't rely on Picken to kick you 6 goals and help you win too many times, which he did against the Gold Coast. But yesterday, what Jason Johannesson did to kick 4, I thought Bontempelli played his best game in a long time, as did McRae. So a lot of their prime movers got back to their best and used the ball much better.
They're building, aren't they? I mean, with those 3 wins they've now had, Gaz. And Johannesson kicking the 4, it was key. Cloak playing the role that he was brought in to play. As we speak, they're still out of the 8, but they're going to be there if they continue this form, Watto.
Well, you have to ask, Lordo, on looking at this, where is Essendon in terms of the pressure on the ball carrier and also the bloke on the receiving end? Because if you do give them this sort of space, and I mean, this is some excellent field kicking, and this is what's been lacking for most of the year, but gee, there's some space that was afforded them.
Gaz, they play Brisbane this week, so then they'll get another win, you'd think, but I'm not convinced yet. I won't say they're back, because if you play the Adelaide Crows or you play a Geelong, they won't allow this sort of game to happen. So still...
you say Brisbane next week, up in Brisbane with McCluggage and Hipwood and all those good players that didn't travel to the West back. I mean, that's no walk in the park. So, I mean, there's no margin for error.
Well, the point you're making, they didn't shut down this guy there. They didn't go out and hard tag him. Is that the absolute key?
Well, what I'm saying is I watched them in Adelaide maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he got hammered. Bont got no time and space.
Is it as simple as shutting him down?
I just think shut the whole team down in terms of don't let that handball, don't let that quick play happen. Essendon played a game that the Dogs loved yesterday.
It's not as simple, Damo, but it is indicative of where the mindset is at of the Essendon group. And if he's allowed to play on his own terms, which he hasn't been able to do all year, then that's an example. And look, no one wants to separate themselves. That's the bottom line. We saw Sydney Friday night fall to Hawthorn. Saw Adelaide give up 50 points and salvage 2 points. I mean, the Dogs get this right. If they can get on a little mini roll and make the finals, and they'll have to if they want to play in September, then they're as dangerous as anyone.
OK, right now, I know we've been asking this question regularly, but with 4 rounds to go, who is the one that has yet to separate itself from the others?
Oh, the one that has, you mean?
The Premiership team.
Adelaide for me still.
Yeah, still. Yeah. The ladder says what it says for you.
Does, and I mean, even the way they got back from the 50-point deficit, not many capable of doing that.
And the other one I liked, it's hard to say they can win a flag, but Richmond, to go up to the Gold Coast, which we thought would be a danger game, without Jack Riebolt, Dion Prestia, but just get the job done. That's what I love about Richmond.
Keep saying it, 2 bad games for the year. They've had 2 bad games for the year, the Tigers, which is a great thing.
Geelong, well, now we're going to know an answer to this question we've been asking ourselves all weekend, but Paddy Dangerfield's tackle on Matty Cruiser, we've seen it all by now, and we've still, as we speak, yet to know what the match review panel is going to do. But I think I've taken the view that if you take the personality out of that, take out number 35 on the back of that Geelong Guernsey and put in Tom Bug into that Dangerfield body, to me, it's every day of the week a 1-week ban, and as such, if that's the case, Paddy Dangerfield can't win the Brownlow. I know the questions are now entwined, but you take out Dangerfield out of the equation, it's a pretty easy decision for the match review panel.
I think it's 1 week for me, and I'm happy to be proven wrong, as I've said all morning, but no one's yet to tell me how that cannot be a week. And then, I don't know where you said, Lorna, let's get that first.
I've said a week as well. Right. But so, I'll ask you, was it a slinging tackle, though? No,
it wasn't. But when you read the rules, I mean, it is if you put the player in a dangerous position, if you pin the arms, he's given no choice, which all those things he ticks the box. If then they are to be ticked, you're saying it is personality-driven and Brownlow favouritism-driven and all those sort of issues.
And look, before everyone jumps up and down and asks about the credibility and the ethics of a match review panel, of course the individual who is being investigated comes into it. Because the ramification for that decision today is he's ineligible to potentially win a consecutive Brownlow medal.
But that's wrong, though, isn't it?
Well, it's wrong, but it's 100% it's going to be factored in. You can't tell me those 3 men today analysing this, Jason Johnson, Nathan Burke, Michael Jamieson, won't be thinking about the ramification of that decision.
But I'm not saying they won't, Damo, but they can't.
Will be.
They can't. You can't do it.
Of course they will.
Well, you can't.
They're not human if they can't.
Does the AFL sit in on this one?
Look, again, it's an independent body, but Andrew Dillon, who's now the fill-in footy boss, he'll have an awareness of what either happens or what's going on, yes.
All right, well, let's see what happens. We'll know by tonight. Let's just give you some other examples, though, whilst you contemplate this. This was Jarrad Waite, a week, yeah?
Yes, 1 week.
So 2 motions probably he had an arm free there, which is interesting. He got a free kick here.
Stevens, he actually, on the night itself, got the free kick. But you're right, match review panel saw it differently, gave him 1 week. McCarthy, I felt there's a similarity here to what happened to Cruiser with Dangerfield, but you think it was a bit more intentional there. And this one, Burgoyne escaped any match review panel sanction for this on Reid.
Yeah, and had an arm free. That would be the only thing that I saw that was different there. So, look, there's enough there for Paddy Dangerfield to have a really uncomfortable 2 or 3, 4 hours.
Do you think they're going to find a way to allow him to be eligible for the
look, there will be defendable positions in both instances here. I think it's a week. If they came up with none, I think they'd be able to mount a case that may not satisfy everyone, but have the...
I think your question, you're yet to be proven or told why he should be let off that. The biggest argument for that angle is the Brownlow medal at the end of the result. That is the biggest offence right now.
But I'm not asking for that. I'm asking how he gets off on the rules.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't get off on the rules, the way I read it. Yep.
All right, let's move on. Mitch McGovern, Adelaide, there's a few people that wouldn't mind their time again. Langdon kicked the ball out, Jake Kelly uncontested. That's the first one, so it shouldn't have been coming back. But when it did, that's a hell of a mark for a guy with a game in the balance.
He's a rare player, this kid, and I call him a kid because he's played 35, 36 games, but his ability to play tall and play small, such a difficult matchup. I've loved Jack Gunston for years and years, but this guy I think can be better because he can mark above his head. Much stronger than Jack Gunston, so I think he's going to be that player for the next 10 years that we've seen Gunston over the last 5 or 6.
Yeah, interesting times, aren't they? With him out of contract, as is Jake Lever, and there's a feeling, and they're not going to say this publicly, but one of them will go. There's a feeling right now, and worst case scenario, both of them go, but you don't get to around 20 of a season without them being re-signed. And that 2 points they got out of that, it's as good as a win in terms of the team beneath them on the ladder. Geelong, it keeps them 4 premiership points clear and the percentage. It was as good as a win.
Was it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it bring it back to a game?
For Geelong.
Yeah,
for Geelong, because Geelong's got the draw as well.
I was going to say, yeah. What about Bucks? What's that mean? I mean, had that game continued to roll on in the manner that it did in the first half and it was a 60, 70-point win, it'd be hard to say that it wouldn't have some sort of an influence. The fact that they gave up the 50 points, does it mean anything?
And yet it was, the fact they gave it up, it was almost symbolic of where they're at. They couldn't have learned anything out of the game because as positive as it was when they were 51 up, it was bad, as you saw Nathan Buckley there when the ball went through for the draw.
Well, the frustrating part for mine has been their ball use, their decision-making. That was brilliant on the weekend, and as good as I'd seen, although they gave up the 50 points. So they are playing better in recent weeks, but Gazzel's around Daniel Wells, and you've been strong on Daniel Wells, and your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I have. Undeniably an outstanding game, a brilliant game in actual fact, but where was it early in the year? Well, it wasn't there because he had injuries. Why did he have the injuries? Well, whether or not it was a contributing factor that he came back in an unfit state to start pre-season training is unacceptable in my eyes, and as a result of that, I mean, what have they played? 9 games with him, 6 wins, a draw and 2 losses. Now, I'm not saying he's the whole reason, but had they won 1, 2 or 3, maybe Buckley's not under this pressure. Maybe it's done.
Damo, as we sit here right now, do you think Buckley keeps his job?
Yeah, I've felt that for a couple of weeks now, despite being less knowledgeable of whether he can or can't coach. The lack of a clear candidate is key. And from 5 and 10 in the season, 5 wins, 10 losses, to the now 5, or was it 7, 10 and a draw, yeah, the fact they don't know and the fact they've let it play out is actually working in his favour.
Player of the year, they're calling it. Paddy Ryder over the back, Robbie Gray into space, goal, Port Adelaide win. Should never, ever have happened. Take nothing away from this man who is a clutch performer and has been for a long time. Paddy Ryder got the job done when he had to do it. There's a list of candidates that need to have questions asked. I'll start with Billy Longer. So you just got to be more competitive than that, but there's a whole host of others.
There is. So let's watch it now. So that's the beauty of it from a Port Adelaide perspective. Now let's watch the disaster that we'll see. Ken Hinkley pumped as you'd expect, but the disastrous nature of it from a St Kilda perspective.
It's as bad as any of Richmond's brain fades late in the season.
It is, and here it is. Obviously Seb Ross is the man we're highlighting, but let's also look at Blake Acres at the top of the 50.
So what Blake Acres got to think, where is this going that is most going to do damage to us? And it's not where Blake Acres runs. He's the bloke on the 45 to the left, running at the contest.
He needed to be in closer where Robbie Gray was about to run. So he should be stopping that run right now. But for some reason, he's ran to the left. Jack Steele to the far right. I'm not sure what he was doing there either. He was in no man's land. So
let me throw Dunstan. Let me throw Billings. Jack Billings missing that one-arm tackle. The bottom line is, Lord, the most dangerous space on the turf was not defended.
No.
And it's indefensible.
Exactly. 17 seconds to go. They should have just had so many numbers around that contest.
Yep, and with about 2 minutes, 17 seconds to go, there was a massive Port fans leaving the ground order when they were still 2 goals down. What are they doing?
Supporters have been doing that.
They missed their moment of the year.
I know. The supporters have been doing that for 100 years. So, it's...
Harden up. You should always stay to the end, guess.
Hey, no, that is a mistake. Press conference to Kilda have announced, by the way, for 2 o'clock this afternoon. A lot of speculation about what that may or may not mean, but at the top of the list would be.
Yeah, as we speak, we feel it's a Nick Riewoldt announcement about his future, and we felt for some time that 2018 was something that wasn't going to be part of what St Kilda wanted to be part of, but we'll know more as the afternoon unfolds.
A lot of speculation about the Kangaroos tanking. That was a nonsense, I think. But they have had a record in close finishes that does need questioning, and they answered it to some degree. They got a job done against Melbourne under pressure. These are smart decisions, Damo. They're kicking into a heavy breeze.
Yep.
Now, maybe in the other 6 or 7 instances that they lost, this is dumb.
Yeah. Only if it goes out in the full, but Cunnington retrieves himself here. But the ball comes back, and Majak Dorlotto, who had some criticism the previous week, took a crunch and clutch mark there
100% he did.
and uses it in a good fashion here, where, again, it comes down. Higgins, again, smart Gaz.
No advantage.
Had an advantage.
Look
Realised
ahead.
that was just going to be disadvantageous to North Melbourne. Throws it back.
Yep.
Again, Simpkin, the poise of a first-year player here, just to spot someone rather than blazing away. And then Cunnington, who made that initial mistake, is able to now soak up the at least half of his allotted 30 seconds there, goes backwards, could have taken up some more time, but the option there may not have been there with Rovert had he done that. And very smart play.
Yeah, and all you can do from Brad Scott's point of view is say, listen, we will coach and we will continue to train and drill players in situations where we are in tight finishes and hope that the penny drops. Well, today they have some affirmative feedback that the message is getting through, and that's a big tick for the coach.
And just on that too, Carlton and the Gold Coast Suns, I hope, are watching that and saying, let's try and finish our seasons the way North have been against Essendon last week, and also Melbourne on the weekend, because Carlton and the Suns have had nothing to cheer about for a fair while.
Yeah, correct. Heath Shaw. We all defended him at various stages, I think, Heath Shaw, but this is post-game. There's a 12-point winning margin. He and Aidan Corr having words. I think Aidan's the man that's come out of this looking good.
Yeah. I was asked about this yesterday, Gaz, and no one who is having who's being screamed at takes that well.
No.
So you just want to turn your back on them. And Aidan Corr tried to listen, he tried to speak, but Heath Shaw has to just talk to him. The game's over.
Yeah.
You just say to him, OK, in that situation, I would have liked you to have done that. And Aidan would go, OK, Heath, yep, great. But when you're turning your back on a senior player, it's not a great way to finish a game.
Now, at Access All Areas, we've gone back to the last couple of minutes of this game. In a close game, and Aidan Corr finds himself with the footy here. That's the player there highlighted to the right of screen, and that's Shaw calling for the ball to the left of the screen. It'd be a risky kick if he was to kick it to him, I would think, given the opponent could well intercept there. But that could well be a reason for Heath Shaw blowing up
that was
post-match.
inside the last minute. We suspect that was a reason. There was another GWS player, so I suggested he wanted to the goal square and then over the back to Shaw and all that sort of stuff. But irrespective, Matthew's right. I mean, doing it demonstrably out on the field where television cameras are around is not doing anyone any good.
No, it's not. Hey, Will Langford's kissing of Jared McVeigh, I didn't like it, and I got shot down yesterday, Lordy, when I expressed that, but I just feel it's an invasion of your personal and private space within a footy game. I know, people are coming at it, but this could, on another circumstance, erupted had McVeigh done more than what he's done there on Langford. And while we can joke about it and say, look, harden up Jared McVeigh, I think he was right to express his displeasure and his dissatisfaction at Langford post-match that was how he was treated. You
were held down yesterday. I'd never seen the front-on one. Which, everyone was...
Did McVeigh think that he got kissed on the lips?
Possibly. Like, the way he grabbed at his throat. That I'd never seen that one, Damo, yesterday. So we held you down because we think, Damo was saying it can spark melees and all this sort of thing. We said, come on, it's a bit of fun, whatever, theatre. But the one front on, I haven't seen that before, and I can see why Jared would be so upset.
And the thing about that is it goes back to, say, the pinching thing, right? When Craig Kelly was pinching. It hurts. I didn't get pinched, but I could grab you now and pinch you and hurt you, right? So what are you supposed to do? You've got no recourse.
Yes, that's the answer.
Right?
Yeah.
So if someone kisses you, what's your recourse?
Well, your recourse is to fire back if you don't like it.
The only option is to sit there and go, just keep kissing me.
Yeah.
And that's not. I know it's as ridiculous as it sounds, but had that been a kiss on the lips, which I don't know if it was, I mean, he probably is going to give him a whack and a gob.
Yep.
And that's not what you need.
Yep. No,
Does
fully
AFL
forward,
needs to
Jared.
make us come out on this.
They'll do what I think they'll do, Lordo, and just make sure it doesn't happen again. And if so, they'll crack down because it could easily spark a big melon.
Yeah, good. It's time for our lift hard hitting moments, boys. And well, we've got the new ball here, and I've been down the last couple of weeks, but this one here, both players were off the ground with severe gashes to the cheek, and that was serious enough. And this one as well, which sent Big McAvoy off. So a double header from me, which puts me in prime position. That's a lift hard.
Well, I've got the new ball. I'm into the win, but Door on Jeddah, Gaz, I reckon
Straight back up.
it stands up pretty well against
It
your
is a good
offerings
hit.
there.
It's a good.
He did get up and he didn't go off and played out the game and was pretty good. But that, it's ugly.
He's
Now,
tough.
I'm bowling into the wind here, but stay with me. Now, this is why I love Nakai Cockatoo. This is Simon White taking down one of his teammates, Menegola. He has a long memory, Nakai Cockatoo, and he said, "You don't do that to my teammate." Bang! A moment later, he nails him and says, "Watch your back, I'm coming after you again."
Lordo, you've done a good job of making something out of that. You're none for 48, got 3 overs into the wind, and I'm giving it to Damo today. Hey, good on you, boys. Thanks for joining us on Access All Areas. Have a good week. We'll catch you next Monday. Goodbye.